We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Welcome back. Latest edition of the weekly NFC North Sewing Circle, otherwise known as Who Will Be King. As always, I'm always flanked by the venerable veteran of the Vikings First and Skull podcast, Dave. Are you staying cool down there where you are?
Yes. I want to give thanks to John Carrier and everybody else that is credited for inventing air conditioning. They are saints and they are wonderful.
Oh man. Better than sliced bread right about now. The way it is, it's smoking. It's smoking all over the country. Oof. Yeah, it's been a hot week for, like I said, pretty much everywhere. Also with us, as always, representing the Motor City, birthplace of the automobile, Motown music, and the 17th best pizza in the country. One half of a dynamic duo of bleachers to speakers. B. Foster. How's it hanging, man?
Oh, it's going all right. We trying to stay cool around here. We're finally got some rain that's keeping the temperature down a little bit, but I'm holding it down today.
Glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it.
Nice, kind of bursty too.
Blue moon.
Mm-hmm.
As I was saying to Dave, it's been a hot one all around, right? But it's a really hot seat situation going to Detroit in the last 24 hours. But we'll get to that later on in the show. It is 80 days until we, not just the Bears, even though this is a Bears broadcast, but not just the Bears, 80 days until we all start one. Can you feel it?
I can feel it. And number 80, we have a legendary one in Chris Carter, one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history. And he was our feature today.
Oh yeah. I love a good count. I love a good countdown, Dave. We love to do that here on the Bear Claw. 80. We don't have. We have Curtis Conway. Not
Curtis Conway.
Exactly. Not exactly Chris Carter, but he's special to a lot of Bears fans. Curtis Conway. What's your favorite Curtis Conway moment as a Viking?
The name sounds familiar, but nothing comes to mind.
Really? Oh, you don't even.
No, I'd say Chris Carter. My mistake.
Oh, Chris Carter. Oh, there's tons of them, but he's got so much soft hand, or his hands are so soft, and his ability to catch, and I still picture it in my mind today. He's reaching out, the ball's thrown outside over the sideline. He's got his toes on the sideline. He's falling down, and he is literally about a foot above the turf when he snags that ball and brings it in. It's just the skill of that man. I don't know if he ever played basketball, but he could block out a defender like nobody's business. And that was part of his deals. He wasn't a speed demon. Right. He wasn't the guy that ran 4.3 and ran by you, but he knew how to run routes and put himself in between the defender and where the ball was going. And his hands were just so soft, and he could catch anything thrown to him. And I remember from training camps, he'd be out there with a jug machine, just one-handing it all the time, just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of balls he'd be catching. And he's an example of somebody that, one, turned his life around, and two, worked hard to become, in my opinion, the greatest wide receiver ever in the league up to that point. And I would argue better than Jerry Rice. And just fantastic. He was great.
That's one hell of a compliment.
That's bold.
I didn't think he was gonna get that with that when I asked you the question of a Chris Carter memory, but better than Jerry. up until
Jerry had consistent
Up until
Pro Bowl
Moss.
quarterbacks, 2 of them.
Mhm.
Chris Carter did not. Chris Carter had like 12 or 13 different quarterbacks throwing to him. And yet his numbers were still at the top of the league when he retired.
Okay.
I only remember Cunningham.
I'm not going to argue with you. Cunningham
and Culpepper.
Cunningham was I don't think did Carter play with Culpepper? I don't remember. But Cunningham played with Cunningham in Philly and Minnesota, right?
Brad Johnson too, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brad Johnson, Cunningham. There was a whole slew of them.
Yeah, it's a lot. I guess it was a lot of.
And we had 3 deep. You got to remember, it was Carter and Jake Reed went back-to-back seasons with over 1,000 yards apiece. First time a duo had done that. And then the next year, we get Randy Moss as the rookie, and that was 3 deep. That was the best threesome for a wide receiver in the history of the NFL, right there. And it was spectacular.
Mm.
Randy Moss is real, and he is spectacular. Thanks, Dallas. Thanks, Dallas. But like I said, 80 days until September 8th. 80 until September 8th. That's a lot of time for the salary market in the NFL to see yet another change. We've seen it all off season. Detroit, shout out to my boy B. Foster, they've led the NFL in the charge of big dollar deals this offseason, unlike the defending champions Kansas City Chiefs, who is just leading the offseason in charges. But specifically,
ex-Lion.
Specifically, the quarterback market is yet going wild. Last offseason, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Herbert, and I think Jalen Hurts, they all got deals. They're all getting paid 52 plus annual average salary, AAV. The highest ever was Burrow. Now this offseason, the Lions gave the aforementioned Lions, gave Goff 53 million AAV, and now Trevor Sunshine Lawrence has a quarterback who has a deal that is matching Joe Burrow dollar for dollar. It's wild right now, and Dak Prescott and Tua hasn't even got signed yet. So you can imagine that it's going to be some ruffles, that the market is going to shuffle some more. It's pretty. We're living in a world right now where you can imagine that when the season starts, September 8th, 80 days from now, that the best quarterback in the league, Pat Mahomes, won't even be top 10 AAV. And this is all getting some discussion started in the top parts of the league. Tom Pelissero from the NFL.com, he said there's been high-level discussions about capping the total amount of dollars a team can spend on the quarterback position. That's interesting to me. I have my thoughts on it. B. Foster, I'm gonna start with you. Is this a good thing for the league to start capping the amount of available dollars for every team's quarterback room?
I mean, I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts the league. Nobody's gonna go broke, without it. I hate the way my camera looks. Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna go broke with that cap being put on the league. But pretty soon, I mean, all the elite quarterbacks will have been paid. So I mean, obviously the new crop and the rookies that are getting older and excelling are gonna have to get paid too. But pretty soon, there's not going to be anybody else to get paid. So I don't know.
We just had a wide receiver get paid. No, it isn't quarterback.
But we said the quarterback. But as far as
right,
yeah.
No, so next, I mean, well, like I said, Dak hasn't been paid yet. Dak is setting up. He's been pretty adamant. 60 million. He wants 60 million. And we talked a few episodes back. Jordan Love is out there. He's looking for something. There's some thoughts that he might be the first 60 million quarterback, Jordan Love. Tua's still out there,
nothing other than a second half of one season. And I know
The timing
I
is-
reported, what was it, last week? Love is looking for around the 50 million mark.
Mhm.
I still think that's too high. But hey, I want the Packers to pay him 75. I'm cool.
Do it, yeah, go ahead. Up the ante on us.
That's hey, you know what? If they put themselves out there like that, hey, I'm not gonna argue with you. Just go ahead and cut some of those other guys for you. Let them trickle down to me. You know, what did Reagan say? Trickle down economics.
Right.
Let me get some. Let the Bears get some of that. I'll take it. But how about you, Dave? Let's from your perspective, are there any potential cons that you can see from coming if this was enacted?
Absolutely, there are. As of right now, the big deal is you've got numerous quarterbacks: Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, Dak, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow, all making more than 20% of their salary cap. And this is a salary cap league. And if you're spending 20%, you're hurting the building of the rest of the team. I complained when Kirk Cousins was making 17%, right? Everybody said nobody had won a Super Bowl making more than 15% at quarterback until Mahomes did it. Mahomes was the first. Because Tom Brady never did. He always kept it low. His mind was that I don't have to be the number one paid. I know that if I'm the number one quarterback, I'm going to get the endorsement deals and I'm going to get it on the back end. And thus he did.
Right.
He didn't have that I need to be paid the most to feel the best about myself mode. He never had that. So with teams taking that much cap space, I can tell you from having Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, it hurts the building of the rest of the team. Now, that's just on team building. The problem with this is it's how the NFL decides to go about it. Now, owners talking amongst themselves right now are fine. Hey, this is a great idea. Quarterback money is getting stupid. Let's reel that in a little bit. Let's talk about ways we can do that. Would a quarterback cap be a way? Well, that's one possibility. And they might use that to negotiate as an idea the next CBA. The collective bargaining agreement with the NFL Players Association right now is set to run through the 2030 season. The TV contracts expire, I think they come either through 2029 or right up to 2029. So they're waiting on that. That was why they chose the 2030 season. Well, if they do this as part of, hey, we want to do this in the collective bargaining agreement, we're cool with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Then the players have to agree, right, to make that happen. But if they go ahead, and what it sounds like they may be trying to do is do it behind the players' backs and just say, we're going to do this anyways. Because the NFL is comprised of 32 individual businesses, right? Along with the NFL headquarters, which would be 33rd. And they have the antitrust exemption so that they can perform that way. Well, if suddenly all 32 teams get together and say, hey, we're going to do it this way, that's called collusion. And it's illegal. And they can be taken to court. And the NFL's in court right now for a couple different things. One is the Sunday ticket. But how they go about doing it is going to be interesting. Do you want to say, cap, all right, a quarterback can make no more than 20%, 25%. Right now, Joe Burrow's making 24.5% of the cap. And it's hard to field the rest of the team that way. Do you want to do that? Where do you get, if you want to say at a level of 25% of today's cap, and you want to cap it there, literally say you can't go above that, how do you take for inflation year over year? And the NFL Players Association may have a problem with it because they represent all players in all positions. Well, suddenly the quarterbacks get singled out to have their own cap. What does that do for the rest of the players? Are we suddenly going to get a running backs union and a kickers union and a lineman union? And
The running backs are definitely going to have something to say.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
You know, it's how this, the whole idea of we're spending too much money. I agree with. They're spending too much money on that one position and it hurts them. But that's part of building a team and working a team is you've got to be able to massage your cap well enough to get good players in every position or enough of the good premium positions to field a winning ball club. And if you can't do that because you hamstring yourself with a quarterback salary that makes too much money and doesn't get the prerequisite returns out of it, I'd tell you Mahomes gives those returns, but Kirk Cousins never did. Then you're hurting your fan base and you're hurting the product overall. So even though it sounds like a good idea to me, I don't see it. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops. Put it that way.
Really, it really will be. They're just talking now, but if they do, if the powers that be do have their way and they can start capping some of these salaries, it's going to happen. Me personally, I'm not someone that ever thinks the worker should ever have their salaries capped. Never. They're out there doing the work. They're bringing. They are the reason why the revenues are growing, right? So pay them what they are worth. If that just happens to be a $60 million quarterback and running around in green and yellow, give him 75. Give him 100. Give him the whole cap. Let him go out there and play. Let him go out there and be, the entire team.
I wouldn't play both ways, offense and defense, because you can't afford a defender. Yes.
Exactly. Put it like that. So that was a good segment. Let's go ahead and take a break real fast, and let's.
Well, I agree with you, Pay. I think the players should earn what they can earn. Mm-hmm. I don't think it should be artificially, minus the rookies, artificially held back. Now, the question will be, how can the NFL and the NFL Players Association come to an agreement over the idea? And it may mean right now the revenue split is what? 48.5% for the Players Association?
Yeah.
What if the league says, and all the owners say, we'll give you 50, we'll give you 52, we'll give you 55% if you allow us to do this.
Everybody gets a pay raise, huh?
It's a pay raise, but it's all going to come down to whether the league and the union agree to it or not. That's and they can agree to something that they don't have to wait to the end of the CBA. They can agree at any time. Like if they both agree they want 18 games next year, there'll be 18 games next year. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
It definitely will be. I can't wait. Give him a raise. I love football. Give him a raise. Thanks for entertaining me every Sunday. We're counting down until the summer's over. That's how much we love football. Let's take a break real fast. Hear a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back. Welcome back. NFC North Roundtable. Who will be king? Joined by Dave at Vikings First and Skull and one half of Bleachers to Speakers, B. Foster. So another thing that happened over the last week or so, the NFL came to a conclusion on their tampering investigation. They gave the Philadelphia Eagles a little bit of slap on the wrist. That was expected, but this one is necessarily important to us as NFC North fans. They gave the Falcons a punishment of stripping them of a 5th-round pick. We all thought basically, well, they took away their 5th-round pick for illegally contacting Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. Let me lay that out there first.
And two other
players. Well, one of them was a former Chicago Bears player. So it does have his tentacles in the NFC North. It's their punishment was a little more lenient than a lot of people assumed it would be based on their weird 1st-round decisions. Not any more weirder than them actually breaking the rules to go get Kirk Cousins and them other guys. But the thing that was curious to me was there was no remuneration or compensation paid to the Vikings whatsoever. Dave, right? Is it no or is it scold?
Well, I didn't expect anything. The Vikings are not one of the favored teams in the league. We don't have Rich McKay owning us, and the whole competition committee being run by Atlanta. No, I didn't expect anything out of that. And we got nothing. That's exactly what I expect. I tell my fans, because they were upset. We should at least gotten a draft pick, something, because there's precedent in previous tampering stuff where the other team got draft picks. Well, I shouldn't say that. When the other team got draft picks, it was negotiated between both teams. But there's precedent where there was no negotiation, where the team that got caught tampering a lot less than what the Falcons did had like a 1st and a 3rd yanked from them, not a 5th. Right? On top of that 5th, there was a couch change fine given to the owner and one to the GM. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. You only talk a slap on the wrist. It wasn't even that. It was like, here, I'm going to blow you a kiss. Don't do it again next time. And it's just, it was a joke. It's a solid joke. I reported, we had heard rumors during the season, as in like December, that Atlanta and Cousins were talking. That's just, and it turned out to be relatively true. Now, of course, the NFL, we investigated. We got out our, cane and put on our sunglasses and we investigated. And all we found out was that the trainer called Kirk Cousins to ask him his shoe size. That was it. It was a logistics deal. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
I know you sound a little you said you wasn't expecting anything, Dave, but you do sound a little upset.
Oh, I thought it was unfair. And I always told my kid it's not fair. And I'd say nothing's fair except for what comes once a year for 2 weeks during the summer. It's it's just frustrating that rules for thee and not for me type stuff, or rules for me and not for thee, or however that saying goes. It plays, there's favorites in the NFL. There always has been, where it's the Giants, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Rams, or whoever is the darling of New York is, of Roger Goodell and how they're doing it. Atlanta, right? They always seem to come out on top. And the smaller market teams seem to get shafted sometimes.
Ooh. I hate a dry shaft.
Yeah, at least give me some lube and some flowers and a little back rub.
Yeah, make it special. Make it a nice night for me at least. Foster, I'm pretty sure you have an opinion on tampering charges and penalties. Maybe even stronger ones than Dave has right now. I remember what was it, like 15 or so years ago? The league came down hard on Detroit as well for tampering.
Really?
Definitely no Diddy. Definitely no Diddy. My bad,
Yeah,
Toe.
yeah,
My
yeah.
bad.
The play on words here with shafts and coming down hard, like wow.
Yeah, we getting out of there. Yeah, Detroit. They did cite Detroit for tampering. I remember when they got Gunther Cunningham from Kansas City. Gunther had made some comments in the media about Kansas City not going to re-sign some players, and this is after he became the new defensive coordinator for Detroit. Obviously, that's a illegal, business practice, right? So what happened was Detroit ended up having to switch picks in the 5th round with Kansas City, which is good for Kansas City because they moved from 23rd to the 9th pick, something in the top 10, something around there, which you all got punished and they got a reward. But in this situation, as you said, Dave, there's been precedent. You all get nothing. Bogus.
It is what it is. We move on.
Yeah, well.
I hope Kirk Cousins has a fantastic season for Atlanta.
Do I hope that?
I'll be right back, guys.
Do you really hope that though?
No, I'm shaking my head. No, I don't. I'm being sarcastic. As my fans know, I'm not the greatest Kirk stan ever. I objected when he came to the team, and I objected during most of his career there, except for 2 years ago when we went 13-4, and he had his best season of his career. I think what Kevin O'Connell did with him was work miracles, because it wasn't that he didn't have the talent. Kirk Cousins always had the arm talent. It's Kirk Cousins on the mental side, and when things go off script, he had issues. Kevin O'Connell pulled that out of him, that got him to play better, and he did play better. And hopefully that translates to Sam Darnold this year, because they're very much similar in how, oh my God, I'm seeing ghosts. If he can pull that out, we're going to be golden. But we got to see if that's going to happen or not. And if it doesn't, we see JJ McCarthy a lot sooner. And that was my goal. Let's get our quarterback of the future. And I'm still happy over that.
We know.
All right. Yeah, I guess it'll work out. It'll work out for everyone involved. Well, maybe not Atlanta, because Atlanta is not the sharpest tool in the tool shed. They're more like a butter knife, some people would say. I'm especially Saints fans. But we'll see. Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? Time will tell. Let's take another commercial break and go to our last segment of the afternoon, where we talk about 2024 goals for each one of our teams. Right back. All right. So let's have a little fun. Let's end this show on a fantastic, fun, spirited conversation where we can come back in December and talk about, hey, remember that time you said that you all were going to do this, and it may have may not didn't hit. Let's do that. Foster, what is the 2024 Lions goal? What do they have to do this season? What will make this season a success?
To make this a successful season, a playoff berth and another deep run towards the Super Bowl.
The same a retweet season? Are you saying will make it a successful season? Well, I know this is Detroit Lions. I know I don't want to ask for a lot, right? But you were what, 10 minutes away from the Super Bowl this year.
Correct.
Another year of the same thing is a success.
I mean, it's really, really difficult to get to a Super Bowl, as we know, and even more difficult to, redo it, with a target on your back. So if we're able to make a comparable run to the playoffs, and therefore creating some consistency towards it, I'm happy with that. Of course, it will be disappointing if we fell short, of the actual Super Bowl, but I think that it's gonna be more difficult because we're not gonna creep up on any teams this year. I think the division is stronger this year, especially I think the Bears and the Packers have improved themselves, and I think the Vikings have made some strides, minus whether or not they're going to their quarterback situation is going to come together. But that's all I can really ask for. Of course, somebody's saying, "Hey, we need to win the Super Bowl this year," but we got to be realistic in how difficult. We know how difficult it is based upon our entire history, but just in general, ask the 49ers. I mean, granted, the 49ers, they went twice in a row, or they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but they didn't. Anyways, it's really difficult to win a Super Bowl. Is the moral of the story. So, yeah, I'll be happy with another playoff one.
The San Francisco 49ers, in the last 10 years, they've been in the Super Bowl 3 times. I'm maybe a little fuzzy on the 10-year demarcation. Yeah, they haven't won it. I may be a little fuzzy on the 10-year demarcation. They went with Colin Kaepernick as a quarterback. That's the one. Yeah. They went with Purdy, obviously, this last season, and they went with who was the quarterback? The first time the Chiefs beat them. I'm blanking on that. That was in 2020. So that was 3 all L's.
Okay.
But you are,
but they've been making runs.
Yeah, they're making runs. You're right. That's so. What it sounds like what you're saying to me is that you want to build a consistent contender.
Yes,
and
yes. That's
the
really,
point
yeah.
you want to.
That's where can't get greedy and just be like, all right, I want to win it all. Like, we got to get there first.
I hear you. But there's a school of thought where it's like, in the NFL, they legislate parity. They want to, you got to strike with iron's hot. But I don't. Some of that is true, but I do not disagree with your frame of mind. I mean, being a Detroit Lions fan, you had to go eons almost without a playoff win. So I get it. One more question. One returning player that has to step up for you to be able to achieve this goal. Who would that be?
Step up. The guy that's going to have, you said returning player, right?
Returning player, not a rookie.
Right. Or a free agent.
No, not a free agent either. Somebody that's got to take it to the next level. Somebody that was there with you, saw you all blow that lead and take it to the next level.
I want to say Aiden Hutchinson.
Ooh.
He has been, I can't say elite, but he's been by far our best defensive player. And we have done some things. I don't think as much as we could possibly do, but we've done some things to surround him to where he can maximize his talents, make a Pro Bowl. And if we are going to become an elite team, that's contending for a Super Bowl, I think there is definitely another level that he can get to that will solidify his, massive extension. And I think that, with guys like DJ Reader and retooling our secondary to give him that extra half second, to rush the quarterback. I think it's now the time, because I feel like he was a guy that, there was never a question about his motor and his drive, but I feel like he was getting his sacks in bunches, and there were definitely some droughts where it was like, where did Hutch go? I might have missed the word, but there were sacks and punches is crazy. But yeah, I feel like there was definitely times where he disappeared a little bit, and some of us would say that's due to the fact that he didn't get the respect from the refs, and he was being doubled and held, and but yeah, I think that the team is going to succeed or fall at the hands of the level that he can get to.
That's a good shout. Because I agree. One, Aiden Hutchinson, he is a dog, but he does have a tendency to get lost in the shuffle at times, right? He doesn't always make the impact play that you're looking for a guy who was A, draft with his pedigree, and B, drafted where he was drafted at. And he's going into that year where it's time to start. He's looking for that contract extension, that first big bite of the apple. It would have to be him. The defense was it had its moments of being a sieve the last couple of seasons. So if the Lions are going to create that consistent winner, it starts up front. Definitely. Dave, who's got to step up for the Vikings to reach their goal, which is?
The goal is to set up for 2025. It's that simple. To bring JJ McCarthy along and develop him, whether he's sitting behind Sam Darnold or he actually gets some playing time. It's to prep everything for 2025 when all the last pieces come together through free agency and the draft, and our Super Bowl window is then opened and we move in the contention range. And it should be a goal for everybody that they want to stay in that contention for the Super Bowl talk for a decade. You'd love to. New England, unfortunately, set that precedent with Tom Brady, and you want to get there and stay there. And they weren't the only ones. So you can go back to the Steelers and the Cowboys and the Niners back in the old days, along with the Niners now. That's the goal, is literally I'm looking towards 2025 while being competitive this year. I hope we break hearts of many opposing teams as they come in and say, you're just a 4-win team. And we go, oh, no, we're not. And we surprise them on the field. But the overall goal is set up for 2025 and JJ McCarthy. That's mine. It's the logical. And stay competitive in the meantime, and then break hearts along the way.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't think I'm breaking news here that a lot of people anticipate the Vikings to bring up the rear of the division, right? So if you all do set up, again, I feel like you and Brian B. Foster here are simpatico in that. You want to set up the consistency. You want to set up that there's going to be a year in and year out expectation that you all are going to be a tough out, a dog team. And I like it as a NFC North team that I want the division to be the cream of the crop of the league. So if you all can set up, if your teams can hit that goal and set up to be the template for success, great, because it's just going to push the Bears to be even better. Because, as a commentator said on our last week's show, that the biggest weakness for the Lions is that they play in a division that is not good. Iron has to sharpen iron, and if the Lions want to get better, they had to get out of the division. That's what someone said in the comments last week. I'm going to tell you this: we will be better as a division and as a unit coming from the Bears. We're going to be better, and our goal this year, we got to make the playoffs. Just one goal. I mean, there's goals underneath that. There's 1A, then 1B, and all the other ones, all the other bullets underneath that. But goal number one, with a bullet, is make the playoffs. Eberflus, this is your third season, bro. I'm gonna look dead in the camera and tell you this. Third season. You have 10 wins to your name. 10 wins. You have 2 division wins to your name. It's put up or shut up right now. I don't care that you got a new haircut. I don't care that you're walking with a different type of swag. I want to see the swag in the win columns. That's all
I saw that article too. The new haircut, the new swag. He's getting along with his players. He's a new Eberflus, but is the football new?
I don't want to see any old losses.
I think, as you know, HBO is showing an in-season Hard Knocks. It'll be at the last 6 or 8 games of the AFC North. Why they chose the AFC North, I believe, is because the AFC North last year was the first time in NFL history where all 4 teams finished above 500.
Mm-hmm.
I expect the NFC North to be flirting with repeating that record this year. Even though I say I'm prepping for, or I think my team's prepping for 2025, we're not going out there just to lose. We're going out there to win football games and make it hard on everybody else. And this is, I believe, one of the toughest divisions in football. And that fan of yours that said Detroit needs to leave the division because it's a lousy division, he needs to watch more NFC North football.
He does, because, and I'm gonna say it now, NFC North is coming. Pause. Yeah, and to
Tim, I said the AFC North is the best.
It is,
but the NFC North is on their tail. We're aiming for that same goal.
Yeah, we are. We'll be there. I'm not going to step out on a limb. I'm not going to jump too far out and say we'll be there this year. But in the coming years, while Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy is still in their rookie deals, we are going to match that record, Dave. We're going to have 4 winning teams in the same division. I know it. Man, Campbell's got a contract extension. The Packers are going to pay Jordan Love $125 million a year. It's going. We're ready. We're about to take off. We're for to take off. And for the Bears to hit their 2024 goal, the one player that has to step up, the one returning player has to step up. I'm going to say it. Javon Dexter. Javon Dexter's going into his second season as a Bears player. He's a defensive lineman. He had flashes, especially in the back half of the season. He had flashes of being a great, not just component of a pass rusher and run stuffer, but he looked like a very good complement to Marquez Sweat. If he can continue treading up, hey, Ryan Poles might have just lucked up into saving getting his contract extended, because one of my biggest critiques of him in his time as the general manager of the Chicago Bears is not figuring out what to do with the pass rush. If he drafted a great pass rusher in Javon Dexter and traded for Marquez Sweat all under the radar, hey, hats off to you. I'm not taking my hat off to do it actually, but hats off to you, Ryan Poles. All right, so I've got it here. I've got the timestamp on June 20th. So when we come back December 20th, we will know. A, the Bears got to make the playoffs for this to be a successful season. B, the Detroit Lions got to do exactly what they did last year. And Dave, your team has to show the growth, just like the Bears back half of last season and the Detroit back half of their season, the season prior. That's what we want to see out of this division this year. I think I'll speak for the Packers because I'm the one that don't hate. I'm the one that hate them the least. I think out of the show, I'll
the
speak for
most
Packers.
calm and I would say level-headed thinking about it is probably Foster.
That's probably true.
I have to say the Bears is probably the team now. I don't know. I went to school with like a whole bunch of people from Chicago, so that's the team that. Anywho,
that's the one that bugs you more than the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, half my college were Bears fans because a lot of them commute over. I went to Western Michigan, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah, Chicago, Western Michigan is basically an Illinois school, state school for Illinois.
It is. Yeah, stay for a year and you get the in-state tuition.
I think for the Packers, for the goal that will be good for them this season is I don't like the answer. Obviously, it's not like catchy enough. It's not a take enough, but they actually got to do exactly what you two guys just said. They actually got to continue to trend upward. They had a great back half of the season last year by a lot of Bears until they snuffed the Bears out. If they can continue showing, they have more of that game that they had on Thanksgiving against Detroit. If they have a lot of that, if they make that their floor this season, they'll probably win the division, to be honest with you. To be honest, if that's their floor, they could probably win this division. But I think their goal is to just be more consistent. Be more consistent. You can't hope for great health. Well, you can't make that your goal. Rather, you hope for it. But their problem last year was just inconsistency, especially in the first 8 weeks of the season. Just very inconsistent. If they can just figure out what their floor should be and always excel past that, they'll have their goal set in mind. So consistency for them, upward mobility for you, Dave. Same, keep the train on the tracks for you, Foster. And me, we making the playoffs. I'm putting a bullet on it. We making the playoffs.
From worst in the division last year to making the playoffs. Got it.
Well, we wasn't technically worse.
We were in fourth place.
The Vikings weren't in fourth place?
No, we were ahead of you.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's go.
Tiebreakers.
Yeah. It happens all the time in the NFL. You go from worst to first all the time. It happens all the Texans just did it. They were we were battling them for the first pick, and then next year they're in the divisional round of the playoffs.
And you're hoping you found yours.
Not hoping. I know. The Bears did find their quarterback. The Bears.
We'll see. That's what I was waiting on.
All right, guys. This was fun as always. Like I said, where can we get more of Paul? Where can we get more of you, B. Foster? Where can everybody check you out? And I know, like I said, there's some big news going up there in Detroit, right? You had an emergency show yesterday. What was that all about?
Yeah, the Detroit Pistons fired their coach after 1 year, and our president is pretty much eating the $65 million remaining on the deal. So yeah, big things going on. We got a new president of basketball operations, and we got a draft in a week, NBA draft in a week. So a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, free agency is coming up, and a lot of opinions. But most people are happy, I guess, kind of optimistic. But at the same time, it's like who's going to be our coach now? Because there's not any like super attractive names out there. JJ Redick just got hired to the Lakers, so yeah, check that out. Post-game podcast. And all our visual stuff is on Bleachers to Speakers. So,
how are the Tigers doing? Foster?
Cornucopia.
We are falling. Oh, that might be lagging a little bit, but yeah, the Tigers are falling apart right now. We are struggling. We got the White Sox coming to town, so hopefully we can sweep them.
Hopefully. Everyone sweeps the White Sox.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah. We did the first time.
The White Sox are always the gift on your schedule. Like, man, we are struggling right now. Oh, look, the Sox are coming to town. Yes. Yes. It's time for me to make that make those contract incentives. Yes, let's see their pitching. Dave, what about you? Where can we hear all you and more Vikings talk? Real 4-0 show. Where
Real 4-0 show and 2 old bloggers. Don't forget 2 old bloggers. We'll be on Sunday, and we're talking about could we be wrong about Sam Darnold? Could he actually suck? We'll find out on Sunday. Hey, 2 old guys that have been following the team for years. We'll look at it from every single direction. And you can find us on Vikings First and Skull on YouTube, on podcast for Fans First Sports Network, and over on the written side for Fans First Network as well. And we also partner up with a Daily Norseman every once in a while to go along with it. But we love talking our Minnesota Vikings and the purple. And we always say, Skull Vikings.
You know, I love that part. If you're watching this, you're more than well sure of who I am, Pay, and where you can catch all the Bear Claw podcasts. You can get that anywhere you get your podcasts fixed. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Pandora, Amazon Music, anywhere you get any type of information going through your eardrum, we will probably be there. Go ask Alexa, hey, go ahead and play that last episode of the Bear Club podcast. You hear us talking about Caleb Williams' fantasy football outlook. Should you draft him? Should you not? Answer might surprise you. She'll help you out with that. And if you want to see some of the visual stuff, we got something posting every day on our YouTube channel at Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans. Check us out there and also on TikTok. We're under the same name, Chicago Bear Claw. Gentlemen, always a great time. Let's sign out. B. Foster. You got to do a growl for me. You got to do a growl.
I can't do the manual growl.
Or at least bite some kneecaps for us.
Yeah.
You're right. Wipe my mouth.
Dave.
Skull Vikings, baby.
And as always,
The Bears.